one day, a bright, sunny day, a beautiful day actually, in late October about 11 years ago, out in the Mojave Desert, at the edge of the Mojave Desert, butting up against a spectacular mountain range, but nestled in an international speedway that's usually host to human-powered NASCAR-type races, something unusual was happening.
Oh! Tommy has had contact with.
So, that was my first robot car experience. That was Tommy, and he went completely berserk. Crashed into a wall, and this, of course, all occurring at one of the most prestigious and historic events for autonomous driving called the DARPA Grand Challenge. There was a year's worth of work that went into this, a lot of sleepless nights, and my attempts to make one of the world's first driverless cars felt suddenly bleak. Everything just came to an abrupt halt. So I started to ask myself, why was I doing this? How did I get here? And I still ask myself that. And it really started with a cat-sized robot, and that's an actual cat. That's Cappy, and that's the robot Beaker. They didn't get along very well. Beaker outlived Cappy. He just had that in his DNA. Cappy, however, lived a long life, died of natural causes. At least that's what the robot claimed. But the one idea was to create a really cool piece of software that with minimal effort would quickly enable anybody, and I'm including my 6-year-old son in this, anybody to be able to create a robot faster, cheaper. Just a radically fast, a radically new way to create these complex machines rich in intelligence and rich in diverse capabilities. And I felt that this was important to me because this would help, this may be a key ingredient to foster the widespread growth of robotics. And the widespread growth of robotics, I felt, may actually help accelerate human evolution itself. Maybe that was a little heady, but that's what I thought anyway. And my journey along the way experienced a lot of ups and downs. Here are a few pictures from my trip. It's like a home video. This is a shiny, polished Tommy making his debut at the DARPA Grand Challenge. That was an up. This is a down. This is Tommy getting stuck in hay bales, spinning and smoking his wheels. And this is an up. This is me having an intimate moment with Tommy, kissing him, after he crossed the finish line during one of his trial races that pretty much guaranteed his entry into the DARPA Grand Challenge. So we were really excited about that. And this was, of course, that big down that you saw, the unexplained acceleration and Tommy kissing a concrete barrier during the race. This is us having to repair Tommy. We had to replace the entire front end of the vehicle and source a new engine in the middle of the desert. These desert border towns. It's very difficult to find such an engine. This is us rebuilding Tommy in less than 36 hours, working through the night on no sleep, 40-degree weather. It was very cold there in the windy desert. We're working in the middle of nowhere in a parking lot. But this was the up. This is us bringing Tommy back to the challenge after we rebuilt him and giving him a shot to take another run at the DARPA Grand Challenge to make it into the final event. So this was a down. This is us getting stuck on the Hoover Dam. That's right, the Hoover Dam. In a 35-foot-long RV with Tommy in a trailer in tow after he was denied participation in that event. That was a dark moment. But this was an up. This is me making the awareness rounds with Tommy to bring awareness to driverless vehicles as early as 2006, and Tommy winning some awards. And this is Tommy's robotic progeny, Tommy Jr., in the 2007 DARPA Urban Challenge, which was a race of driverless cars through a city. This is Tommy Jr. making the awareness rounds like his father and meeting rocker Neil Young's producer, Larry Johnson, at a conference. That was a lot of fun. And this is me working with Neil to help automate LinkVolt. LinkVolt was Neil's 1959 Lincoln Continental that we worked to convert into a clean energy hybrid, and we were automating it completely. And this was a down. This is LinkVolt in a freak fire inside of a warehouse that actually took some of Neil's memorabilia with it. But there's an up. And this is me receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is kind of weird. I don't feel I'm that old. For the software inside of LinkVolt. Neil and I had also patented some of LinkVolt's ideas. And LinkVolt was ultimately rebuilt, and Neil drives LinkVolt today. So that's an up. So there's a lot of ups and downs, 15 years of it actually. It took 10 years just to get the patent for the one idea software idea that I mentioned. A lot of ebbs and flows of projects and economic conditions and the dark moments where you don't have enough money to keep everyone employed, which is always, an entrepreneur's worst nightmare. And then, but always moving forward, trying to make the software smarter and smarter. And just 1 month ago, receiving that investment from one of the world's largest computer chip makers in the one idea to power the world's robots and autonomous vehicles. So we were excited about that. So we're on an up phase. So driverless cars are on public roads now. They're making their ways onto public roads now. And they're also experiencing some of their own ups and downs. This is the Tesla Autopilot example, which is on public roads. There's actually some autonomy involved in these. And I forgot to mention that one of the benefits is apparently to be able to play a pan flute while being autonomously driven. But the early adopters are certainly getting a taste of the freedom that this brings, but the technology is still early. And this is actually a super serious warning because these cars are not 100% autonomous yet. There has been an accident, and there is this assumption that there is full autonomy, and there's sort of this loss of vigilance that occurs as people assume that these cars are fully autonomous when they're not yet. And this is all happening at a very fast rate, and some say happening too fast. However, so too is the speed at which we can respond to issues. We can actually do over-the-air updates from manufacturer right to the consumer's car. We can boil down functions of the car, the bits and bytes of software, into things that can be sent from manufacturer to your car, hopefully not while you're driving, but nevertheless dynamic updates. And this changes the way cars will be serviced and maintained over the years. So it's a dramatic shift in the technology that's coming to our automobiles. And this is going to enable us to accept this new technology and use it faster despite the glitches. And this is not a history uncommon. Many of you may have recall some of the videos of early flight with the flapping wings and the bicycle-powered propellers. And some of those early attempts at human flight ended poorly. The Wright brothers themselves, inventors of the airplane, experienced a tragedy and a fatal crash in 1908. And really, since the first flight in 1903 for a while there, took a certain amount of bravado to even get onto an airplane. But airplane safety improved over time, especially in the 1960s as commercial flight and public flight became more and more popular. There was a dramatic decrease in the amount of accidents that would occur with air travel, and it's been improving ever since. So much so that flying is among the safest form of travel, especially as compared to driving in a car. And I like to make the analogy, if you woke up one day and you read in the newspaper that the second 747 crashed that week, claiming the lives of all 350 people on board, and if there were 2 of these crashes each week throughout the past year, no one would ever fly. Yet that's exactly how many deaths occur on U.S. roads in cars today, every week, every year. And driverless cars are designed to shield us from that, to basically avoid collisions, detect and avoid collisions, and dramatically reduce fatalities. So the question is, where will we end up with all this? What does the future look like? And author Joe Garreau of the book Radical Evolution put forth 3 propositions that futurists talk about when it comes to where technology will take us. And the first proposition is the heaven scenario. This is utopia. This is where there's zero loss of life. We achieve immortality. We're free to pursue our interests, watched over with loving grace by machines. And in the case of driverless cars, they'll make us impervious to accidents in this scenario. We'll be able to eat, sleep, drink, play, including play the pan flute, go from wherever we are to wherever we want to go, whenever we want to go, safely. And it also brings empowerment. Those who are currently unable to drive, the elderly or folks who are unable to see, will have empowerment and mobility to be able to go to church, visit their grandchildren, go to the grocery store. Now, the second proposition is the hell scenario. This is dystopia. This is where technology is used against us, right? The Terminator, wars, attacks initiated by both man and machine, human extinction becoming possible under this most pessimistic scenario, where we're watched over with steely cold disregard by machines. And for driverless cars, this might mean a rocky road ahead where there's just too many defects and too many accidents, and people say we have to put the brakes on deploying driverless cars. Or worse, that these cars are used for malicious purposes, weaponized and militarized, used in terrorist attacks, or even hacked and redirected, unbeknownst to us, towards ill intent. But the third proposition, and perhaps the most realistic proposition, is the prevail scenario. This is where the rate of our response to fixing issues exceeds the rate at which these issues occur. So the benefits for driverless cars for enhanced safety, mobility, and productivity exceed the issues that arise and the accidents that occur along the way because we're able to respond to those issues. So an interesting thing happens here. The question is, what happens when our rate of development and our rate of response happens so fast that machines first start to exceed human capabilities and then far exceed human capabilities to the point where the improvement is infinite? It's basically runaway growth. And that's where the trend proposition comes in from some futurists. This is the singularity moment, right, where infinite growth occurs, and that's the singularity, the moment when that happens. And futurists predict that this will transform what it means to be human, that machines become part of us, and we become part machine, and the boundaries begin to blur. And if people think this is kind of weird, which it kind of is, but just think of cochlear implants that replace the function of human hearing right now that exists, or people who basically they have artificial limbs from the waist down. They're essentially machined from the waist down. Or in the future, you're going to want to upgrade to the human heart version 2.0 or the human lung version 2.0 and get that upgrade, right, because you want to live longer. Or maybe brain augmentation to make you smarter. And this is where we transcend and we become superhuman, perhaps a new species, according to some of the futurists. So there's also a singularity for driverless cars. Driverless cars are autonomous vehicles, and autonomous vehicles are these pods that encapsulate our body. And whether or not these pods are just driving on the ground or eventually make the seamless transition from the ground to the air, to the surface of the sea, or to underwater, or even into space, we'll be able to go wherever we want to go seamlessly in the world and maybe the universe, completely impervious to hazards along the way. And that's the singularity for personal mobility. That's where we become Superman. So in closing, I just thought I'd use this talk actually to give me the opportunity to reflect on how one idea can propel one for better or worse for over 15 years and sort of where it leads you. And I've been thinking about that, and I guess it's really that the pursuit of an idea can feel so perfectly resonant with who we are, that it drives us and gets us addicted to the ups and gives us stamina to weather the downs. And along the way, if we persist and prevail, we not only confer benefits that outweigh the losses, but we might even get a chance to transcend. Thank you.